trying to do my maths.
4-2. He wins it for us. John.
Here's Aloisi for a place in the World Cup.
For us.
He scored! Australia have done it! John Aloisi, the Confederations Cup hero, has done it!
The hitch. And Goodwin deflection goal. Now there. They can lead the support.
To support Goodwin. Reflection on that, Duke's header! Magnificent goal!
I got the space in the big guy sing and the geezers too, yeah, we're doing this thing.
Hello and welcome to One Game at a Time's match preview of Japan versus the Socceroos. They kick off in Saitama in just about an hour's time, but we're here to go through the pre-game with you all, and I've got the three other most Australian people you could think of, starting with the most Australian man I've ever met, David Grant. David, how are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, mate. How are you going? All right?
Absolutely. And also joined by Mark Talbot. Mark, how are you? Another very Australian man.
I'm very well, Seb. Thank you for having me on this special show.
And our multicultural correspondent, Alessio Crocci, Italian and Australian, two very controversial sides when it comes to international football. It's very clear where your allegiance lies, though.
Oh, of course, mate. The country you're born is always the one you got to support no matter what. So I'm green and gold all the way.
Of course, Mark. Isn't that true? The country you're born is always the one that you associate with the most, isn't it?
Oh, mate, I support them, but I support the English as well. So there's nothing wrong with that.
First of all, before we go off into Japan game, of course, we had a very historic occasion last week. First game in Adelaide in over 7 years, ended in a 3-1 win to Australia versus China. 3 out of the 4 of us were there. I suppose we'll start with, well, David's gone, so I won't start with him. Alessio, I'll start with you. How was your experience? How was the atmosphere? What do you think of the game as a whole? Yeah,
well, for me, I think it was quite a special occasion. One of my good friends from school who lives in Sydney now, he's Chinese and was born in China, and obviously he came here for school and university, so I sat with him. So it was the tale of two halves, I guess, as well for him. He's never seen his country actually score a goal in a live game that he's been to, and he was pretty proud to sing his Chinese national anthem while I sang the Australian one. So it was a great occasion, and yeah, obviously the first game at Adelaide Oval for quite a number of years, 9 years I think it was, and I think it was a good spectacle. I mean, I think a lot of the new fans of the Australian game probably are more used to the Matildas and some of the women's game with a bit more goals and a bit more attacking action. Maybe that's a bit to do with our coach or some of the players we have. But other than that, I think they were really excited, and the homegrown talent, Craig Goodwin, of course, came to the fore, and I think that was all the fans wanted in the end.
David, you were also at Adelaide Oval, as was I. How was your experience?
Yeah, it was great. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm not a fan of a rectangular sport played at an oval, and we were very high up as well, so we were a long way away from the action, and I felt the atmosphere was lacking a little bit there. My other off-field complaint is that I'm a big program collector. I love my football programs, and we just don't seem to do them here. So I did scour around trying to find one, and most of the folk I spoke to didn't seem to even really know what I was talking about. But I wasn't alone in that endeavour, because I did bump into someone else who was standing next to me at the time, and he was asking the same thing. So a bit disappointed not to have a paper record. And we were so far away I couldn't see the numbers on the backs of the shirts. Anyway, so that's my off-field complaints are all done. On the field, I felt I know people were a little bit worried about China scoring first, but really, in truth, Australia were pressed very high, had pressure on that back line of the Chinese, and I didn't feel too worried when the Chinese did score. I mean, I think their tactic was probably to come out and sit back and defend anyway and try and hit the counter, which worked for them on one occasion. But other than that, they didn't really threaten Gauchi in goal. At one stage, I did notice when they were out of possession, they were playing with 6 at the back, 2 in midfield and 2 up front. So very defensively set up. But thoroughly enjoyed it. For me, the big surprise for me was Lewis Miller. I know everybody's raving about Craig Goodwin, and rightly so, and some other players as well. But I thought Lewis Miller was terrific on the right-hand side. and he seemed really up for it on the screen. When you can see his face on the big screen, he just really seemed up for it. So I was really impressed with Lewis Miller. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed the experience. I wouldn't miss a World Cup qualifier for all of the tea in China. And it did, I'll just finish off with one quick thing. I did think back to 20 years ago. I looked the game up. The 2nd of June 2004, I went over to Marden Sports Complex to watch Australia playing Fiji in a World Cup qualifier then. Maybe even that's probably even before you were born, Seb, I'm not sure. 6-1 win, 2004. June 2004. And do you know the funniest thing is this is the high regard that soccer or football was held on at that point in time. Is that game was played on a Wednesday afternoon. The 2nd of June was a Wednesday afternoon, and I had to skive off work to go and watch that game. And I reckon I thought there was maybe less than 1,000 there, but the official attendance that I found was just on 2,000. But what a long way we've come from a World Cup qualifier against Fiji 20 years ago in front of 1,000 people to that at Adelaide Oval in front of China, and a big game tonight as well. So that's my little roundup from the day's experience. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and yeah, great to be there.
Mark, you watched at home. What did you think of it?
Well, I wasn't home, but I did watch. I was in country Victoria, in Mildura. So
the closest you could possibly. You might have been closer to where me and David were to the game, to be honest, where we were sitting.
But do you know what I found fascinating? And this is the worrying aspect that I think that I took from the night was I was sitting in Mildura and I was like, cool, I'll watch the game. This is awesome. Do you know what they don't have in Mildura? Channel 10. So no country viewing in channel of the game. And it's like, how do you expect this game to grow when you're putting it on Channel 10 when Mildura, who has, I think it's about 27,000 people, can't even watch it on TV. So I sat there and watched it on my phone, which is not a problem, but we're trying to broaden this game, and yet country Victoria can't even have it because they can't even get Channel 10 in the country areas. So it kind of really I just felt like, how are we supposed to grow this game when we can't even get to all of Australia to watch it? So that probably annoyed me. The game itself, as David said, I didn't think when we went behind, I didn't think it was an issue. I thought we'd have enough clout to get back on top. But one thing I did notice, obviously going through Facebook and Insta and that, and seeing the amount of posts of friends of mine that were at the game that don't follow football. They never been football. And yet they were there because, you know what, they weren't going to miss a qualifier because they were able to get tickets and things like that, which I thought was brilliant because, as you said, we had 1,000 people 20-odd years ago to 46,500 or whatever it was.
46,291, exactly, Mark.
It just shows you the growth that the game's had off the back of the Matildas and the boys getting to however many World Cups in a row now. It just shows you the growth that it's had. So, and like I said, I've got people that don't even follow the game. A mate of mine, Ryan Fram, he's on Facebook. I was there and I'm like, dude, you got nothing to do with football yet. Mate, he was there, loved it. So it just shows you what the game could do if we can get the right advertising, the right media coverage and things like that, what it could do. Just not in country Victoria.
Absolutely. Alessio spoke before about how many homegrown players we had in the squad, and we'll look at that squad now, starting with our very own Socceroos. Our three goalkeepers, Joe Gauchi, Paul Izzo, and Matt Ryan. Our defenders, Aziz Bayic, Geordie Boss, Cam Burgess, Thomas Dang, Jason Guerra, Lewis Miller, Kai Rolls, Harry Suter, and Gianni Stensness. Midfielders, Keanu Bacchus, Luke Bratton, who was a late call-up, Aiden Hrustich, Jackson Irvine, Riley McGree, Aiden O'Neill, and Patrick Yazbek. And our forwards being Daniel Arzani, who didn't make the playing squad in the game here in Adelaide, Mitchell Duke, Craig Goodwin, Nestor Irankunda, Sammy Silvera, Apostolos Stamatolopoulos, and Nishan Velupale. Any major, players that aren't involved in the squad? Of course, Massimo Longo we saw come out of international retirement to play, but unfortunately was injured. Connor Metcalf also injured. Any other players you can think of that probably should be there and thereabouts, or perhaps players that are in the squad that you think shouldn't be in the squad?
Could you put the squad back up again? I've forgotten who they all were. I guess I was really looking forward to seeing Massimo Luongo. He didn't make it in the end, but I've always been a bit of a fan of his. He's been around a long time, and I think he's got all that kind of experience. behind his belt. I don't know
Nominated
what
for a
age he is
Ballon
now.
d'Or as well, David, by the way. Do you know that?
Say that again.
He was nominated for a Ballon d'Or.
Oh, was he?
Yeah,
What,
when he was at QPR, I'm
last
pretty
year?
sure. No, when he was
Ah.
at Asian Cup year, I reckon. You muted Alessio.
I did,
2015, yeah, he was, I think,
2015.
top 50 even.
Yeah.
Because
I
he
did
won
go
Young Player of
to
the Tournament.
I did go to Loftus Road to watch a match between QPR and Brighton a few years ago, and he was at QPR at the time, but never came on, much to my disappointment. And who's in that squad that I'm surprised about? Well, there was one name I wanted to mention, and that was Aidan O'Neill, and that was because I hadn't heard of him before.
Mark?
Oh, look, I think the only other one that probably stands out is the other South Australian lad that plays up front for Portsmouth, who's injured at the moment. I mean, can't help
Yengi.
that, but Yengi, yeah. But obviously he's out injured as well at the moment. So
And he would have been suspended for the Adelaide game as well.
So I mean, I wouldn't have thought too many more, to be honest.
I'll be interested to see tonight as well, because I think it was not just Zani, but I'm pretty sure I didn't see Stensness or Silvera on the squad for the Adelaide game either. So because I saw them both walking after the game, so maybe they're rested for today's game, maybe. But I'd be interested to see Silvera and Zani as well, especially for crying out for a couple more direct wingers, or even Silvera can play in the 10 pretty well as well. And I've seen quite a few of his highlights over there in England, and they seem to be very excited about him as well, even if it's just the cup games in that. He performs when he's on the pitch, so I'm excited to see him.
Absolutely. We'll now also have a look at the Japanese squad, who is full of players playing in the top flight in Europe. The goalkeepers include Kositani and Keisuke Osako, both in Japan, but Zion Suzuki, the 22-year-old, linked with Manchester United in the past. I think that was in between. They were figuring out whether it was going to be De Gea or Onana to continue on. The defenders Ko Itakura, Kochi Machida, Shogo Taniguchi, Ayumi Seko, Yuto Nagatomo, 38 years old now, formerly of Inter Milan, Galatasaray, Marseille, nearly 150 caps for the Japanese national team. Yukinari Sugawara at Southampton, Hiroki Sakine and Henry Hiroki Mochizuki, both based in the J-League. Wataru Endo, the Liverpool midfielder, formerly of VfB Stuttgart, plenty of caps, 31 years old now. Hidemasa Morita, Reiho Tate of Celtic, Al Tanaka of Leeds United, Joel Chima-Fujita at St. Truden in Belgium, Daichi Kamada, the attacking midfielder from Crystal Palace. The forwards are absolutely stacked. Karu Mitoma from Brighton, Takumi Minamino, of course, formerly of Liverpool, now AS Monaco, Keito Nakamura at Stade de Rennes, Daisen Maeda at Celtic, Takafusa Kubo, Real Sociedad, of course, formerly of Real Madrid as well, a bit of a wonder kid as well, Ritsu Doan of Freiburg, Junior Ito, Stade de Rennes, who's an absolute threat down either wing with his pace, Ase Ueda from Feyenoord, Koki Ogawa, and Yuki Ohashi. I think the main thing that stands out to me with this Japanese squad is when you look at their forward line, especially, and their midfield, not a single player plays in Japan. Every single player is an overseas player. Not saying that's a bad thing, but it definitely does reflect when you look at our Socceroos squad, where you've still got the likes of Luke Bratton in the squad, Daniel Arzani, although playing Nishan Velupale. It's a big difference.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, when you look at what our golden generation did, they were all in Europe. Our starting lineup, nearly all of it was Europe. So it kind of does bring home a little bit maybe that we haven't developed the players as well as what Japan have. And clearly we're not getting them over in Europe at the moment. Hopefully that will change. But like I said, we always refer back to that golden era and that golden group of players that we did have with Viduka, Kuhl, Vidmars. They were all playing in Europe. And that does say something. I mean, like I said, their whole midfield and starting lineup is all Europe-based, and that shows. I mean, they're sitting top of the table, so in the group. So it kind of shows that they're playing at the top level week in, week out, whereas our players aren't playing at that top level week in, week out. I think it shows.
Yeah, one thing. You go, David.
No, Alessio, when you go.
I saw an article today about the last few times we played Japan, and obviously a lot of you guys will probably remember the 2006 Tim Cahill moment And I think just after, I think in 2009, they played him again at the MCG where he scored another 2. But obviously since then, we've played each other, I think it was 9 times. We've lost 6, drawn 3, and won 0. But the interesting fact that I was finding from that was, I guess the Australian fans at that time were trying to promote that we were in their heads rent-free, this and that. And I figured out they only started their J Leagues in 1993, and they already have 60 professional teams with 3 leagues, all with promotion and relegation, while Australia only has 13. So I think that really tells the story of what they've done with their investment and their local leagues, and to get them up. And that's how they're producing players like this as well. I mean, to have so many clubs and stages for players to play at. And obviously they're a massive sporting nation as well with great fans. So I think it's just a testament to what they've done in their local and governments to make that happen. And that's why you're seeing their players on the top stage now.
I was just going to add as well, when we were talking earlier about players that aren't in the squad, but we were talking about the Australia squad at the time and who you'd expect to see in the Japanese squad. I just wanted to make comment that when Postecoglou went to Celtic, he took a number of Japanese players to the club with him, and a trio in particular were absolutely outstanding and continue to be, because although Postecoglou's moved on, 3 of them are still at Celtic. So Rio Hatate, Daisen Maeda, and Kyogo Furuhashi are the 3 Japanese players who are at Celtic. Now, Kyogo Furuhashi, who's known mononymously as Kyogo, is still at Celtic, but he's not in this squad. And it's only when you've listed that squad there, Seb, and I've seen that they've got about 47 forwards listed, that I sort of understand that there must be a bit of competition up front, because Kyogo is an outstanding player in the Scottish Premier League. Doesn't surprise me that the other 2 are there, but I guess for me, as an observer of the Scottish game, I guess I was surprised initially that Kyogo wasn't in the team, but having seen how many players are in that, how many strikers they have in that squad, then there's probably just no room for him. So I dread to think what the guys that are in that forward striking group, or the group of forwards in that squad must be like, especially ahead of the game tonight.
You're on mute, Seb.
I seem to remember the last time we played Japan where we lost 2-1. It was one where Aiden Hrustic scored that free kick. I'm pretty sure Kyogo wasn't in the squad then either, from memory.
Yeah, he's not. I don't think he's a regular, but he's dynamite, and yeah. I don't know why I just dread to think what the Japanese forward line must be like if Kyogo can't get a run in it. I mean, there's a lot of them picked there, but Kyogo for me he's an outstanding striker in the Scottish game. And I know the Scottish game's not comparable to the Premier League and so on, but he's superb in that Scottish Premier League, and so yeah, a little bit of a surprise that he's not in this squad at least.
For me, the only player that's missing from the Japanese squad is Tomiyasu. I mean, Arsenal defender. What more can I say? But no, he's only just come back from injury, so that's why he won't be in the squad. So
had to get it in somewhere.
Of course. How could I not shout out Tomiyasu, mate?
Alessio spoke about the form. We'll look at the form guide for both of these sides, not just against each other, but in this current round of World Cup qualifying. Japan now 3 from 3, 7-0 against China, 5-0 against Bahrain, and 2-0 just last week against Saudi Arabia. Whereas us looking like a traffic light at the moment. We had that 1-0 loss against Bahrain, and 0-0 with Indonesia, and then the 3-1 win against China. And did you see that record as well? 6 wins, 8 draws, and 12 losses for Australia in all-time games. We spoke about, of course, it really shows the difference, and we're absolutely not favourites to win tonight at all. But should we look into this form too much? Obviously, Japan, as we said, the Japan forward line very, very strong at the moment, but Australia do tend to have these moments and these games where I think a lot of people say it, backs against the wall, saw it at the World Cup, and we tend to churn out these results.
Yeah, but you've got to take form into consideration. I mean, you think about it, and this is the only stat I have, which we spoke about off air, Seb, is that no Socceroos team has ever beaten Japan in Japan, which has won 20 of its past 22 home matches. So I hate to say it, but form comes into play in this instance. I mean, they're 20 of 22 matches they've won at home, which is That's incredible for a national team. It clearly shows that at home they are such a strong side, and you've got to, you have to take form into it. I mean, we're coming into it not great at form, so it's going to play a part. I really have to think it's going to play a part, unfortunately, for Australia or for us in this instance. So,
Oh, you called us us. Nice to see you've joined the side now, David Alessio.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting the way obviously Popovich has come in with a similarly defensive kind of approach to some of the games, and maybe that's what you have to do in your first game. Maybe now in the second game he can go all guns blazing and really show himself as a coach against the top nation. But yeah, as you said, and as Mark said, Japan are probably, I would say, probably the best in our conference of teams. Probably them and South Korea. Over history as well. But yeah, I don't know what you would say about our form at the moment. The players have really been carrying what little form we have had at the moment. So I'm just kind of hoping that a coach can implement something more to make us a bit more creative throughout the game and not just holding on for specific moments and a lot of set pieces, which it seemed like in the last couple of games.
David, anything to add?
Well, I'll just add there that I'll be honest, I'm expecting a wee bit of a drubbing tonight. I don't think we will win this game tonight. Japan are just formidable. And I sort of think that maybe what Popovich might do is just sit back a little bit and just try and defend, maybe just try and, I don't know, hold on for a draw or not a heavy defeat, because I just think Japan are a form side. Where we would benefit, I think, though, is set pieces and in the air. You got the likes of Harry Suter and these guys who are big, tall units and who at corners and free kicks and long throw-ins, if we can do them, would pose an aerial threat. But other than that, I'm not sure if we're going to get a result tonight. That's very negative, isn't it? But I'm trying to be realistic as well.
It's negative, but you're probably not wrong. Starting lineups are out now. We won't see it yet. We'll go through what I guess not our fantasy, but our dream personal starting lineup for each of us. I'll show mine first, just so people get the idea. A 4-1-2-1-2. Matt Ryan in goal with Jordan Boss, Harry Suter, Jason Guerrier, and Lewis Miller at the back. Then in midfield, Jackson Irvine with Riley McGree and Aiden Hrustich as the two central midfielders. And my, I guess, forward three, as you could call it, Craig Goodwin as the attacking midfielder with Mitch Duke and Nestor Irankunda up front. Any comments to be made about that?
Goodwin in the 10 is interesting.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever seen him play there.
I thought the exact same thing.
I had to somehow fit in these players somehow. That was my only process. But not bad. It's not a bad lineup.
Wait, could I put it again?
I think it's very similar to what I've picked as well. I don't think, it makes sense. I didn't go all fancy. I didn't do 4-1-2-1-2. What's that? 4-1-2-1-2. How many players is that? 14? 15? I just went 4-4-2, I think, didn't I?
Yeah. I mean, it takes on a lot of the players who were in form in the last game, as we mentioned, as David mentioned, Miller, Guerrier, a lot of people were impressed with. McGree did a few things as well. But yeah, I'd be interested to see how many changes from that lineup and from that first half specifically, which were, I would say, quite poor in the Adelaide game. So I'd like to see how many of those players he would still stick with in a massive game like this against Japan. But yeah, other than that, I mean, we've got the players we want to get in there, and I think wait to see the rest of us. But
I was going to say, let's move on to you. What do you have for us, Lester? Take us through your dream starting 11 for tonight's game.
So obviously, a big game. Got to put Matt Ryan in. I think he's still the number one. A few people were saying that they reckon that they might think that Gauci might have taken over by now, but I still think, Matt Ryan, Boss as well. I wasn't too impressed with Behic on the recent game either. Miller, as you said, Rolls and Suter. That's the World Cup partnership, so I think they're going to stick together well. A back four, which I hope at least doesn't keep us too defensive. The midfield three, Irvine, O'Neill, McGree. McGree in the 10. I think everybody on Twitter and everybody on Facebook's been asking for this for weeks, and every game that he's been fit, they're like, put him back in. Irvine, the captain, has to stay in there. O'Neill, I think he had a decent game during the week as well, and he's had a fair few decent run-ins in his club side as well. So I think he'll keep his place. And then the front three. Yeah, I mean, he had been playing Craig Wood on the right recently, and he obviously cut in, makes those shots like he does in the previous game. But for Adelaide United, I seem to remember he's always been on the left, and that's his main role. Alzani as well, always been on the right, his main role. And I've got to get a striker up there. I mean, I was not too impressed with Mitchell Duke as of late. And I know every Socceroos coach seems to love him for some reason or another. But Stamatopoulos in good form as well. I mean, he scored in his recent game as well in the Scottish Premier League. I'm sure David's seen that. And I think he deserves a chance as well. I mean, you can see the other international teams doing the same with England, with Harry Kane and Watkins. And I think it's time for us to choose, give some other strikers a go as well. We've given Yengi a go. It's time for Stamatopoulos to show that form. He was in the A-League just leaving. So,
yeah,
David
I actually agree. I was going to say, I agree with Alessio in the fact that Goodwin has to play on the left. Look, he scored a cracking goal against China, but I just don't see him. I see him working better out wide on the left. The game inside for him, I thought every time he went inside, unless he had that space to get that shot off, he really struggled. I thought he struggled inside when it was quite compact and a lot of players around him. But when he's wide and he's got 5 yards, I tell you what, he can beat a player, but he's also got the delivery. Like I just see him, his whole career at Adelaide United, he was on the left. He's just brilliant on the left for me. And I completely agree with Alessio. It has to play on that left-hand side. My side slightly varies a little bit from Alessio's, but close to. But I'll get to mine after. But overall, it's
yours isn't next. Gotta wait. Yours is the last one.
It's quite a good lineup. Like I said, I have to agree with him on putting Goodwin back on the left though. Has to be done.
David.
Yeah. I think I put Matt Ryan in goal as well, didn't I? For me, he's Australia's number one. I know the problem with both the goalkeepers is neither of them are playing first team football just now. They're both at big clubs.
Except
One's
for
at Roma and one.
Izzo's playing first team football at the moment constantly.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. So, but for me, Ryan, maybe there was a little bit with Popovic on Thursday night just gone. Maybe there's a little bit about appeasing the South Australian crowd, the parochial crowd, having a bunch of South Australians play, because he started with Aaron Kundra, he had Goodwin, he had Gauchi as well, and others came on. So for me, I'd put Matt Ryan in goal. I've got a back four there of Miller, Suter, Geria, and Rolls, and the reason for that is that actually I'd probably have Rolls in
I was going to say
with Suter. I thought Geria was great when he came on at half time. His second half was superb. He just put himself about a bit, won the ball really well, intelligent distribution when he won it too, did really well. And Lewis Miller, as I mentioned earlier on, of Hibernian in Edinburgh, was one of the best on the ground for me on Thursday night. I just thought he had a great game. So that's my back four. And then I went for four in the mid. I didn't really think too deeply about it. I just went 4-4-2. My four in midfield, Seb, when you're ready. Boss, Irvin, McGree, and O'Neill. O'Neill's done well, seeing as I'd never heard of him until tonight. So he's in. Jackson Irvin, of course, captain. So Matt Ryan, if he's playing, might take the captain's armband off him tonight. And McGree in midfield. We've got family in Middlesbrough who are very concerned that McGree's playing because he's missed the last 2 or 3 Middlesbrough games through injury, and then he's come out here and straight into the Stewart team. So there's a bit of concern over there about him. But for me, I thought McGree did really well when he came on in that second half as well. And then my front two were Duke and Goodwin. I know everyone talks about having Goodwin on the left and maybe having him play a bit deeper, but I was starting to run out of numbers, and I had 2 spots at the front, so I stuck him up there. And do you know, I think I agree with you actually, Alessio. If I had to do this again, then maybe I would drop Duke and put in Stamatopoulos, of Motherwell, because he has had some form in that Scottish Premier League for them, and I kind of got a feeling the strikers might be a bit quiet tonight, which is maybe all the more reason to have Goodwin sitting a bit deeper. But maybe give Stamatopoulos a run in this game as well instead of Duke. And I apologise.
Go on, give it a go.
And the first
name. Let's go back. There it is for you.
Apostolos Stamatopoulos.
Apostolos?
Apostolos.
You need to watch. You need to watch
Jared Walsh.
Jared Walsh's video, and you'll get it in no time.
Do you know? I can only imagine what the Motherwell fans have got nicknamed for him. There would be.
I think it's
AP. That.
I think it's just AP or Stammer. That's what a lot of people call him. But we'll go with Mark's team now.
Jeez, great photo. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, it's the best one I could find. Well, I was going to say, you played when cameras didn't even exist, so it was pretty hard. Mark, go on.
So I went with Gauchi in goal, just because I think I just thought, you know what, let's continue his form. He played well the other night, didn't have a lot to do, but I just thought, you know what, why not throw him in and see how he goes? Boss, Rolls, Suda, and Gary. I thought Gary was brilliant when he came on. So, and for me, I know Miller played really well, but I just thought, you know what, I wanted Geordie Boss in, because when Geordie Boss came on, things happened down the wing that he was on. And I didn't agree with playing three at the back. So I think if you play with proper wingers, I think a good connection between Boss and Goodwin will actually provide an outlet for the Aussies in this game. So I went with that. I went O'Neill sitting in a holding role, Irvin in the 8, so up and back. He, at the end of Arnie's reign, he was probably one of our most consistent goal scorers, getting forward into the box, arriving late and scoring goals. So I'd rather see him further up the park and play in an 8, so he's box to box, and then Hrustic in the 10, because we lacked any sort of creativity, especially in that first half against China. I just thought if we can get someone on the ball that can actually pick a pass and maybe break open a defense that we know tonight with Japan is going to be very difficult to break down, he might be able to provide that pass that releases a good one. And then up top, I went with McGree, Goodwin, and Duke. And I really struggled with Duke on this one, because I'm not actually a huge fan of him. But in the game against Japan, I thought just his work rate, his aerial threat, and exactly just against this game, because we're not going to get a lot of chances, might be just enough to put the central pairing of Japan. So, but that allowed obviously then the likes of Iran Kunda and Stamatopoulos to come on late in the game, fresh legs, and provide that spark to be on the end of. So, for example, Iran Kunda to make one of those runs that he does, gets across in, and there's Stammer, who is probably one of the best strike finishers that we've currently got. But late in the game against a Japanese side who are second to none at the moment in the group stage, I just think that might be an option for them. So,
well, there are our squads. We'll go through the actual start. I won't show it to you. I'm actually going to say it out because I think it'd be more interesting to see what your reactions are. I have it in front of me.
Do we know the formation?
To be entirely honest, I'm trying to figure it out.
FootMob, you can see maybe.
I looked at FootMob, and I don't think it could be right, but I don't think it is. So in goal, we will have Joe Gauchi tonight.
Oh, I got one right. Oh, is this like? Do we get points for getting it right? Or?
I don't think we get points. No, I don't think we get points.
I want to say it's a back 5 again. I want to say Lewis Miller, Jason Garia, Harry Suter, Cameron Burgess, and Geordie Boss.
Good. They finally dropped Behic, which is good.
The midfield.
Unless he's got him up front.
The midfield, I can't figure out if it's a midfield 3 or a midfield 4. Jackson Irvine, Aiden Hrustic, Riley McGree, and an international debut for Luke Bratton.
Wow. Wow.
And the sole striker is Mitch Duke.
Of course. Yeah, I was going to guess that. So Goodwin dropped.
Goodwin dropped. Kai Rolls dropped. Irakunda dropped.
Lewis Miller dropped.
Lewis Miller dropped.
No, he was in there.
He was.
Yeah, Lewis Miller's playing. Yeah.
Okay.
Deng dropped.
Yeah.
There is the squad. The lineup.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to play Gary, Suter, and Burgess as a back 3. Boss and Miller on the wing back roles. Irvin and Bratton in the same spot that say O'Neill's been dropped.
Oh, that too. Yep.
So Bratton's come straight in for O'Neill.
O'Neill not in the squad at all either, by the way.
Yep. So he basically...
I think he didn't train yesterday.
And then he's got Hrustic and McGree will play those two whitish players and Mitch Duke up top. That's what he's done. He's done the exact same formation. It was what he did against China. He's just changed a couple of players over. So it'll be a 5-2-2-1.
Yeah. Well,
which is very narrow because, and that's this is
no like out and out wingers either.
We had no width. Like we could have switched the ball to the other side, but no one was willing to switch it, and there was sometimes not even someone out there. Like you need to stretch the play sometimes, but they just didn't have that option because that's very narrow. He's relying on those two fullbacks as wing backs, but they're both like Boss is probably a little bit more attacking, which is probably an out ball now. If they can find Boss on one side as an out ball, that might be it. But I think one of the very narrow
downfalls. Yeah, one of the downfalls of the formation against China was that having Irukunda and Goodwin in those roles where McGree and Hrustic are, they're probably more out and out wingers, and you could tell without the space, Irukunda was not very, wasn't very impactful. So now you have two proper 10s in McGree and Hrustic there. They're always going to get it on the half turn, want to be in those spaces, which is probably a bit better, but. Yeah, I guess it's more ball playing kind of team than a crossing kind of team. So it's ballsy to go against Japan with that.
I agree with you, Alessio, on the fact that he's got two more traditional 10s playing, but who are they going to find? But he hasn't got those wingers now to find. They've got to find Mitch Duke every time they go to play forward. So for me, it's great to have those, but unless Boss and Miller are playing really high, they're going to struggle to find an out ball. Like they're going to struggle to find something in behind or something like that because Mitch Duke's effectively now playing against 4 defenders. So I think it's just it's a little narrow for me. I like it to be a little bit wider. But hey, what do I know? That's why I'm not an Australian coach. That's why I'm not even a coach. So
we think Mitch Duke's the sole striker. Then is that right?
Definitely. Well, he's only
definitely.
So obviously not going. So as maybe we mentioned before, alluded to before, not going there for anything other than to try and get a draw or to minimise the damage, because that's what that lineup says to me.
But it's exactly the same lineup as the China game. It's the exact same formation,
except China were top of the group and not as big a threat, I guess. Do you know what I mean? I think
it's exactly the same lineup. I don't think it changes at all. Like. All he might do now is have the two fullbacks in Boss and Miller sit a little bit deeper, maybe. But effectively, it's still 5 at the back, two midfielders, 2 attacking midfielders just in front, and 1 up top. So it's still exactly the same lineup. Exactly the same lineup. They've just changed the personnel. So I don't think that. I mean, they've all come out and said they're going there to win, but they're playing the exact same formation as what they did before.
In possession against China. We didn't have 5 at the back. We played with just 3 at the back, didn't we? What did we do when we didn't have the ball?
That's exactly right. That's what will happen is they'll go in defence. Those 2 wide players will come in and make a 5 at the back. As soon as we get the ball, they push in alongside the 2 holding midfielders and play 4 midfielders basically. But it just means they work a lot harder than everyone else because they've got to defend deep, but then they've got to be the first ones to go forward as soon as we get the ball, so that they can overload the midfield with 4 midfielders instead of 3.
I tell you, that pace is going to be a nightmare as well because those Japanese players that play in the Premier League that I've been watching, the Scottish Premier League that I've been watching, are so quick.
Yeah,
you just wonder how. I mean, Suter's got long legs and he can make a tackle, and he made a couple of really good tackles against China the other day. You know, at full stretch, and the Chinese players are quite quick too. But I don't know how he'll manage against those Japanese players up front. They're very fast.
They dropped a couple as well. They dropped their captain, Wataru Endo, from Liverpool. He's not in the squad at all. And their bench as well still got Kamada, Hatate, Maeda, Ito. Like they're still a very strong bench as well. So I think they might have a similar situation to us with Ueda up top as well from Feyenoord, who might be their version of a Duke, it seems.
The Japanese Duke. So yeah, final squad. As we said, 1 international debut for Luke Bratton. Probably the biggest talking point of the whole starting lineup, I'd imagine. An aging player, I think he's 34, 35 at the moment. First cap.
Yeah, he's
Very
34.
interesting to see how he goes. Yeah. What is next? Looked at the lineups. Had a quick chat about the Japanese lineup. David, on to you. You've got some fun questions for us.
Well, the problem is that I think through the course of our discussion, most of the questions have been exposed because you guys are so well researched. So as you were talking, I was actually putting lines. So can't ask them that one. Can't ask them that one. Can't ask them that one. So you guys are right on the ball here. So I'm just going to have to do some reassessing now. But before we go in there, I did contact Katsuyoshi Kimishima of Adelaide Croatia Raiders, and I was hoping that he would join us tonight. But he has sent a message to say that he is unable. He's unable to. But he has given me 3 questions. I said, "Can you give me 3 questions I can put to the boys?" So I'll give you Kimishima's 3 questions and see how you go with them. This will be an open forum, open discussion for you, right? His first question is, who is his favourite Japanese player? I mean, it could be anyone, I suppose. There's no clues there, but
I was going to say, has he said current or former?
He is a current player, I believe.
Current player.
But he is getting on in age.
Ooh.
I'll look him up and tell you how many times he's played for his country and so on. He has played in Europe for the likes of Borussia Dortmund and PAOK, which I think is a Greek club, isn't it? And
is it Shinji
Manchester
Kagawa?
United. Well done.
Oh, really? He's still playing in Japan?
I reckon. Yeah, he is. I reckon. Like 39, maybe 39 years old.
Oh, but like not for the national team, current.
No, I don't
35. Playing for a club called Socceroos
35.
Osaka.
Oh, I thought it was much older.
Yeah. And he's played 97 times for Japan. His last cap was in 2019.
Yeah. I thought it was current Japanese players. Like for the national team.
Katsu Kimishima gave me a second question. Which J-League academy did he play with when he was growing up?
Yokohama F. Marinos.
Well done, Seb. Did you know that?
It's the only one he knows.
Yeah.
and
I
then
like
his
this
third question.
This is better than our normal ones.
And then his third question was, it's a shame he couldn't join us, but he was going to pop in. There would have been a knock at the door and I would have been able to go and answer it, but unfortunately something came up. And his third question was, who is his favourite Japanese player in the NPL? So this is a controversial one, I suppose, possibly.
Oh.
Is he?
I was going to say Ukeda. Is it Ukeda? He's centre-back partner
Ikeda.
at Raiders? Ukeda?
No.
Oh.
Is the player still playing?
Yes. You've only got about 4 or 5 to choose from, haven't you, really?
Mai Hisamoto, Ren Nagamatsu, Yuro Ikeda, Yoi Matsumoto, Shogo Yoshikawa.
Yeah.
I think that's all. But
Shogo is retired now, so
I'm gonna go with Ren.
I'll go Matsumoto.
What was it? I'll go Maya Hisamoto.
Seb's right.
Oh, 3 from 3. 3 from 3.
Seb's on fire.
So that's all the questions about. That was all the questions from Kimishima. Let me just quickly, because I know the game's probably starting fairly soon. Actually, I just want to mention, Mark, you were complaining about being in Mildura and not being able to watch the game there, but I noticed tonight's game is only on one of the fee-paying channels. Yeah, well, this game should be on free to air. It's not like
right there with
it's not like crowds wouldn't go because it's miles away. So this game should be on free to air. It's ridiculous. So yeah. Anyway,
right there
shame on you. Shame on the fee-paying channels. I wouldn't even mention them. Anyway, okay. So the questions I had. Actually, I can do section 2 because we didn't cover that at all. Mark, this is a question for you, right?
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I'm gonna rotate round. Mark, where, as in what number, are Australia currently ranked in the FIFA rankings?
And you know what? If you paid attention to my slideshow, you would have seen it because it was on there.
Oh, jeez. 51.
Okay. You'd have got 3 points if you got that right, but you didn't. So it's open to the floor for 1 point.
It's not. It's much higher.
Yeah,
I want to say
it's definitely
from memory. I think it's 25, 26.
Yeah, it's definitely top. I'll go 28.
Okay, what are you going, Seb?
25.
Why don't you just look through your slides, Seb?
Seb gets it, 25.
Was it really?
Hey.
I didn't
He's
even
trying to make
remember.
it sound like,
Yeah.
20,
No,
25. Yeah,
I
yeah. it
didn't
must be.
remember. I honestly didn't remember.
All right, Seb, this is your question for 3 points.
Yep.
If you don't get this, I'll open it up to the floor. Your question for 3 points is where, as in what number, are Japan currently ranked in the FIFA rankings?
Oh, they're higher. They're much higher.
I can hear tapping.
So who's
That's not me.
typing?
I'm gonna say my keyboard's up here.
Hands
trying to
up,
get
hands
stream up.
up.
I'm trying to get the
Alessio?
stream up. I'm trying to get the
16?
stream up for.
Hasn't started
Yeah.
yet. Doesn't start for another 15 minutes.
16.
Right, Seb, 16. I'll open it up to the floor. Alessio, Mark, where do you think Japan are ranked?
Yeah. Have a good one.
I'm going 12. It's my favorite number.
I'm going 17. Wait, is that what you said? Seb? I'll go
12.
17.
I said 16. I think. Yeah, I said 16.
Seb's right, 16. He gets the 3 points.
Hey, Seb's on fire tonight.
I don't. Oh yeah, I don't know.
How come you don't know this info about the NPL, mate? And you watch it more than anything else.
All right, Alessio, it's your 3-pointer. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
What is the highest rank that Australia has ever reached for 3 points?
23?
I'll open it up to the floor.
21.
That was the other one I was going to say. 23 or 21, I reckon.
I'll go 25, which is where they currently are.
What were your numbers again? Sorry.
21.
23.
I thought you said 25.
Okay. It's 14. I'm going to give Seb a point because it's 14 and he was the closest.
Really?
21.
Really?
Yeah.
When was that? Would that have been like
September
06 World Cup?
I thought it was
September
right
2
after the World Cup.
September 2009, they got up to 14 in the
Oh,
world.
that's such a random.
I thought it
Wow.
was after this recent World Cup was the furthest we've ever.
Yeah, because if not, my other guess would have been after the 06 World Cup.
Right. No looking at Seb's slides. Alessio, this is you go first for this next round. Japan's most recent match was away in Saudi Arabia. What was the score?
I looked it
I
up
know this
before
one.
we got it. It's 2-0.
Yeah, okay. 3 points for you. 3 points for you, Alessio. I won't open this one up. Mark, prior to Saudi Arabia, Japan were away in Bahrain. What was the score in that game?
5-0.
Oh, well done. 3 points for you, Mark. And Seb, before
Finally
the
off
quiz
the
starts-
mark.
I'm gonna guess 7-0.
well
Before
done.
we even do I get double points if I answered it before the question was asked?
Okay, I'll give you a scores update. Seb, you've got 8. Alessio, you've got 3, and Mark, you've got 3. I can't ask the next questions. Oh, I can. Seb, for 3 points, how many of their last 22 games have Japan lost?
Oh, I
22.
Mark mentioned it earlier in the conversation.
I thought that was just home
He
games.
doesn't remember it, but he did.
That was just
Did you say home games in the question, David, or not?
Not just games. How many of the last 22 have they lost?
What
This
has
is
to be at
Seb's
least-
for 3 points.
It has to be at least one because they didn't win the World Cup, and it has to be at least 2 because they didn't win the Asian Cup either. So that's a good start. I'm gonna guess 4.
I'll open it up to the floor, this round. Alessio,
None.
none. Okay. Mark?
I'll go 2.
Oh, Mark's on the money there. 2. Well done.
Was
Mark's got it.
was my theory correct that they've literally only lost in a World Cup and an Asian Cup game? It has to be,
Yeah,
surely.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just picked it up from the Socceroos website or the ABC website. Alessio, who is Japan's most capped player? 152 appearances between 2002 and 2015.
Keisuke Honda?
No, but right vintage. I'll open it up to the floor.
Shinsuke Nakamura.
No.
I don't
Mark,
reckon he
this
played
could be
that
yours
long.
for you could get a point here, Mark, if you get it right.
Is Ono?
Shinji Ono.
No. Endo.
Oh,
Yasuhito
Wataru
Endo.
Endo. Ah, different Endo.
No points. Mark, your question. For 3 points, Mark, if you can get this. When was the last time Japan failed to qualify for a World Cup?
I don't even know what years I played.
Go back from 22.
I'm trying to remember iconic goals from them.
Can we help Mark?
No, that's all
Yeah,
good.
well,
I'll come up with a random year. I actually think it was. I reckon 94. Hang on, 94. 98. I reckon France 98.
98, okay. I'll write that down and I'll see what the others come up with.
I'm going to go 94 USA.
I'm going to go 2002.
See, my theory was, I was right. My theory was
it
can't be anything after 02 because they hosted it, no, in 02 with South Korea.
Yeah, they
South Korea?
hosted it.
I didn't realize they hosted it with them.
Do you know, my
it was-
theory was because they introduced their new system in like early 90s, 93, because they were struggling to make the World Cup. So I was trying to work out. That's what I even thought USA 94, and I went, I'll go with the one after.
I had a slight like for 2014 because I couldn't remember anything about them in that year, but
I was thinking, I did ponder recent, but then when I was like, nah, they introduced their system, and their system's been churning out players ever since. So
yeah, they've been at 7 World Cups in a row, which is a very impressive record, really. They hadn't qualified much before that, but 7 in a row. Okay, quickly moving on because I know the time's getting on here. On to section 5. Mark, this is your question for 3 points. You ready? Japan are top of Group C right now. Who is top of Group A?
Oh, I don't even know this one.
I don't even know who's in Group A, so I'm going to say South Korea because I don't even know who's in Group A.
I know this one. I actually know this one.
Okay, I'll open up the floor. Alessio?
I don't think you're going to guess it.
who's a team in Asia? New Zealand?
No.
They're in
Mark, do you
Oceania,
want another go? Mark, do you want? Mark, do you want another go?
I know it.
I would, maybe Qatar.
Alessio, do you want another go?
I don't even know any other good nations in Asia.
I don't know. I don't even know who's in the other group.
It's Uzbekistan.
Well done, Seb. Well done, Seb.
I don't even know who's in the other
goals
group now,
on
apart
goals
from
scored
Uzbekistan.
as well.
It is, yeah.
Qatar was a good game.
Goals scored. Okay, Seb, your 3-point question now is: who is top of the Asian qualifying in Group B right now?
Oh, I know this one. I know this one. Come on. Hang on. What was the question again?
It's South Korea again on goal difference.
Yeah, in the interest of moving on, I'll give you that one. That's another 3 points in the bag for you, Seb. Alessio, Oceania is divided into 2 qualifying groups just now. Can you name one of the 2 table toppers?
New Zealand.
No. I'll open it up to the floor.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I would guess, Mark, do you want Vanuatu or the Solomon Islands? Because I'll guess the other. Or Fiji, maybe. Nah, I'm going to go with Vanuatu.
Do you want to have a stab as well, Mark?
Jesus. I'll go the other one.
Stupid, where it's like alphabetical order because their World Cup qualifying hasn't started yet.
No, they're underway.
So they should be underway.
New Zealand played. Chris Wood scored yesterday for New Zealand in a match played in a little park, but I can't remember who they were playing.
They played Malaysia. It was a friendly.
I'll go Solomon
it?
Islands because I actually have no idea.
I'll guess Vanuatu.
Okay, yeah. Vanuatu are top of Group A, and New Caledonia are actually top of the second group. So I'll give you a quick scores update. Seb's running away with it. He's got 16. Alessio, you've only got 3. Mark, you've got 5. Moving quickly along.
Yes.
Alessio, earlier on you mentioned Australia's last win against Japan was in 2009. Can you tell me who scored the Socceroos goals at the MCG that night?
Tim Cahill.
Well done. I won't move on. We'll just go on to the next one. Mark, how long is it since Australia last had a win in Japan?
How long?
Yeah, how many years is it since Australia last won in Japan?
They've never won in Japan.
Well done, Mark. See? You guys just got a couple extra points there.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, Seb, your question in this round. In which minute of the match versus China did Craig Goodwin score his goal?
Oh. How close can I be?
You can be a minute either side.
A minute.
Well, whoever gets
Give me
whoever
5.
gets the closest.
No. A minute either side, because I think the other two look like they might be confident of getting this, and that would make it much closer. So, in the interest of a fair and close competition, you only get a minute either side.
I'm gonna go. It was not long after half time. 52nd minute.
52nd. I'll write that down, and I'll put it out to the floor and see what the guys do. See if they get any better or closer.
Do we get 5 minutes either side, or is it
Say,
just a minute as well?
I'll
You
go
get 2 minutes either
56.
side.
I was going to say 56 as well, Alessio.
Oh, I'll go 55 then.
I'll go 57 just to give us a 2-minute window.
I'm actually going to give it to Seb. It was the 53rd minute, so none of you are right. But Seb was
I knew it.
closest.
I knew I remember seeing the thing. Yeah.
Okay. Getting up to the last sort of section here now. Seb, how many WNPL league goals did Adelaide Comets Haruna Sugihara score in 2024?
10.
10. I'll open it up to the floor. How many goals did Sugihara score for Comets this year?
12.
In the WNPL.
Oh, it might be 11.
Alessio?
13.
Alessio gets the points. He's dead on. It was 13 goals.
Oh, let's go. I did not know at all.
Right, Alessio, here's your question. How many NPL league goals did Croatia Raiders Katsuyoshi Kimishima score in 2024? And this is a 3-pointer for you, Alessio.
It's not many. Like 5.
I'll open it up to the floor.
4.
5 is my original, but I'm going 3.
It was 6 league goals, so Alessio gets the points for that.
Oh, it's a bit more than I thought, but
Okay, Alessio, no, Mark. How many NPL league goals did Campbelltown's Yohei Matsumoto score in 2024?
I'd say 4.
4. Okay, I'll open it up to the floor.
3.
2.
Seb's right with 3.
Really?
That's what I do.
Please don't ask Seb how many Ren scored.
Okay, look, I think Seb's there's one round to go. Seb's already kind of got this in the bag.
He's
Alessio
got it in
and
the
Mark,
bag.
you're only separated by 2 points, Alessio and Mark, so we'll just play this last lot out. Seb, what is the currency of Japan?
Yen?
Oh, well done. Alessio, what is Japan's country code top level domain? That's the letters that come at the end of a web address. Like
I'm going to guess Seb
.com.au.
knows this one.
I know it. I know this one. I know this one. Go on, have a guess. I dare you. Do it.
JPN.
Wrong.
No, I'll give it Mark.
It's not JP. It's not JP.
Yeah. Seb's done it. JP.
Oh, it's...
I thought he said not
Jeez, I
JP.
didn't even get to have a guess. You're killing me, Seth.
All right, well,
Uncontested points goes to nobody.
you'll get a guess at this one, Mark, because this is your question.
Yeah, I was going to say,
What within the nearest 5 million is Japan's population?
I don't know this one.
I'd say 63 million.
I'll open it up to the floor.
I got no clue. I didn't even need a guess. 200 billion.
I'll go 47 million.
Well, Mark's the closest with his guess of 63 million. The population is actually 124 million.
Oh.
I wasn't close.
So Mark gets 3 points for that. Nah, you're good off. But Mark, good news for you, Mark. Those 3 points you got that last question was enough to take you up above Alessio and into second place by a point. Seb, you finished the tournament. You finished with 24 points. Mark, you finished with 11 points, and Alessio finished with 10. And that concludes the quiz.
Well done, David.
Well done.
Well done. National anthems have been done. Just before we start, we'll just quickly go through what the group is looking like heading into this game, which is about to kick off. Let me get it up. We're currently somehow sitting second in the group on a positive goal difference, just in front of Saudi Arabia, who play Bahrain tomorrow morning at 4:30 a.m. Basically, as long as we win, and we want Saudi Arabia to either draw or lose against Bahrain, and then China and Indonesia also play in about an hour and a half's time in China at the bottom of the group, which could impact the group standing, especially if we and Saudi lose or if they draw with Bahrain. So a very, very interesting night of Asian Group C World Cup qualifying is ahead. Well done. Oh, final predictions, score predictions.
3-0 Japan.
3-1 Japan.
4-1 Japan.
1-0.
Can I also just mention, Seb, before we go, really quickly, there's a wee guy playing for Scotland called Ben Doak, D-O-A-K. He's at Middlesbrough just now on loan from Liverpool. He's only played 4 times for Scotland, but he seems to be promising great things. And I was reading about him today. Did you know his grandfather, Martin Doak, played for West Adelaide in 1988 to 1990? Never heard of him before, didn't know about it. So he passed away this year, actually. He only recently passed away, Martin Doak. So, a little Adelaide connection to Scotland's squad, who play Portugal tonight in a game that they'll get pumped in as well.
What do you mean as well? Game is kicking off as I speak, so we'll let everybody watch the game. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to the 3 of you for joining me. Is there a noise that kangaroos make? Yeah, that's come on the Socceroos. Everyone's gonna do it, and they'll play the outro. Come on the Socceroos. Someone do it with someone do it.
Yeah, you can do it, Seb. It's all good.
David, do it.
I'm trying to do my maths.
4-2. He wins it for us. John.
Here's Aloisi for a place in the
You
World
win it
Cup.
for us.
He scored! Australia have done it! John Aloisi, the Confederation Cup hero, has done it!
The hitch. And good win deflection goal. Now then. In lead the support.
To support Goodwin. Reflection on that. Duke's header! Magnificent goal!
I got this face in the big old sing and the geezers too, yeah, we're doing this thing.